views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open BxRx Remote, brought to you from my living workspace, Charity Executive Suite. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche every Friday. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Leading things off, we'll speak to creative Harlem native Jourdan Ash as she discusses her sneaker and streetwear platform, creating spaces for women of color while giving back to her community. After that, in honor of Restaurant Week, we'll be joined by Executive Director of Chocobar Cortés, Carlos Cortés, as he speaks about the Bronx's new dining and cultural experience that celebrates a Caribbean chocolate tradition. Then we'll speak to Bronx River Arts Center's Executive Director, Gail Nathan, and curator, Rachel Kilpa, about the new exhibition Among Women Contemporary Art from Serbia. Later on in the show, Bobby C brings us an up-to-date with the latest headlines in the world of sports. And lastly, this week's Open Artist Spotlight shines on Urban Word and Executive Director Shanelle Gabriel, followed by a performance by NYC's 2022 Youth Poet Laureate Elizabeth Shvarts at the end of the show. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way, because now we are officially open. Welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour, inviting you to get social with us online. That is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open Bronx Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. Our first guest is a Harlem native-based creative storyteller and the founder of True to Us, a digital platform for Black and brown women looking to be seen and heard in the male-dominated sneaker and streetwear industry. For over a year, True to Us has quickly become a leading voice for women of color in the streetwear community, receiving praises from industry titans like Melody Ehsani to being featured in outlets from Forbes to Hype Beast and more. And through True to Us, they support the community by providing volunteering and curating events to benefit Uptown, including fundraising for community fridges in the neighborhood. And here to share more, there's more. It's True to Us founder, Jourdan Ash. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, welcome, 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 and congratulations on all these wonderful contributions you are making to the Uptown community. Let's just start by diving in and just sharing with us how New York, how True to Us was even born, and what does True to Us even mean?
Well, the definition of True to Us really came to me in a nap. True to Us is very simple. It's true to us, true to self, true to our community, and true to things that make our community go around. So True to Us was born from an edit test I had for a job in February of 2020. And I had to build an entire Instagram from scratch. And I was very intentional about the things I wanted to see that I felt like was missing within the streetwear industry. And I knew no matter what happened, I was going to keep the Instagram for something. So that was February 2020. The next week was March 2020, and the job no longer existed. So I spent the majority of lockdown just building out this Instagram with things that I felt like were missing, things that I knew my community online would gravitate towards. And by May 2020, we opened up, and it's just been blossoming ever since.
So how were you able to identify what's missing?
I think that was probably the easiest part for me. It was really about tapping into like my inner child and the things that I wanted to see growing up as a writer who wanted to specifically work in streetwear and sneakers. I was always told you had to work at a sneaker store, and I'm from New York, so I grew up listening to like Angie Martinez and Miss Info. I remember the way that they dressed every time I would see them on my TV, and I'm like, I can do that without working in a sneaker store. So that was my in into this industry. And it took a while for me to get there. And so once I was presented with the opportunity to create this thing, be it for a test, it just all came together and it made sense. So I'm in a lot of sneaker groups and communities, and these are things that we talk about all the time that are missing. So when it came to building out True to Us, it was like, it's always made sense, you know?
Just educate me a little bit, right? Because, I mean, I wear my kicks, but I wear my kicks because I have to, right? You wear them for different reasons, in the sense that you just said, oh, I'm part of a sneaker group. What is a sneaker group?
So there's so many sneaker groups. Right now I'm on this amazing sneaker group called Soul Food on Twitter. And we talk about releases. We talk about, how hard sneakers, it is to come by sometimes. Sometimes you have to enter multiple lotteries and do this and do that. Just the essence of being able to go down the street on 125th and pick up a sneaker from Jimmy Jazz is kind of like lost. So there's like this sense of community where we can speak about things like that, as well as like new drops and women exclusive sneakers and things like that.
And so how is it that you're using this platform to give back to the community? Because I understand it's a community. You have these conversations, you have these groups, you have these platforms. You also have a podcast. There's a conversation around this apparel and this lifestyle. However, it's this True to Us also is almost representational of the uptown culture, right? And so let's talk about that full circle and passing it forward to the community that is in need.
I think for me, one thing I've always been really good at, no matter the platform, I've always been good at creating community and holding space for it. So the older that I get, I'm in my late 20s. So the older that I get, the more I've seen my community change. But one thing that's never changed is like how fly we get. So that's something that's always stayed the same since I was a child.
I'm a snap to that. I'm done with that program.
So I've always, no matter what happens in my neighborhood, no matter how many new coffee shops are built, we always make sure that, our kicks are fly. So just bringing that full circle, taking my online community and making them care about their community a little bit more and showing up for them a little bit more, it just all made sense. And it's just a lot more full circle. The older I get, the more I realize I have to show up for my community and be kind of the old head that I had when I was a kid. Now it's my turn. So it just always made sense for me.
I know, and it's beautiful what you've been able to do with the Community Fridge Project. I understand that you assisted with like raising close to like 10,000 in proceeds, right?
Yeah, we're close to 10. It's really been an amazing thing. In 2020, I watched quite a few people start their own community fridges, and it was just really beautiful to see how quickly people can come together. La Maradas in the Bronx, they have been a soup kitchen since 2020, just helping out with the entire community, and they create meals for probably majority of the community fridges uptown. And it's just really beautiful to watch them continuously do, no matter what they're faced with. They are always putting community first. And that's something that I aspire to be through True to Us.
Right. And so just to be clear with everyone, so True to Us is also a brand, and in streetwear, right? She has a website, an online store, but I understand in honor of Black History Month, you're debuting your first collaboration with a vegan-friendly juice shop called Press. And am I clear in understanding that's your artwork that's being presented on each bottle?
Yeah, that's the logo for True to Us. So it's a sneaker in the Pan-African flag theme. it represents literally just us, like Black and brown people and sneakers. So that's us on the logo. Our juice is strawberry orange mango smoothie, which is really good. You know, I'm not just saying it because it's mine, it's very good. And it's in stores nationwide and online the entire month of February.
All right, and the brand is called Pressed, right?
The brand is called Pressed. When you go to the store, it's going to say Pressed Juicery, and proceeds from the Black History Month collection go back to multiple community fridges in New York area, Texas, and LA.
Well, brava to you, Jourdan.
Thank you.
It's lovely. It's lovely. It's refreshing. It's a wonderful way for us to open up Black History Month, checking out the next generation, even though I live in denial, you know, making sure that they're holding themselves accountable and being a contribution to their immediate environment. It's beautiful, it's lovely, and it's fresh. Are there any last words you want to share with our viewers?
I want to make sure you guys check out True to Us on Instagram. We're true, TRUE_TO_us on Instagram. And we are the same on Spotify and SoundCloud for our podcast, True to Us Talks, where we speak to multiple women within the streetwear and sneaker industry about their journeys.
I love it. Keeping it urban, mi gente. All right, for more information, visit truetous.store. And don't forget to check out Jourdan on Instagram at LifeWithJRDN. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to share a Bronx restaurant that's putting a chocolate twist on traditional Caribbean comfort food. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. So New York City's Restaurant Week is one of the most highly anticipated celebrations of dining throughout the city, currently running through February 13th, with prefix programs inviting diners to sample the incredible array of eateries that make up NYC's culinary culture. Our next guest represents a 92-year-old family-owned chocolate company from Puerto Rico that is a staple within the Caribbean culture. Having their first restaurant in Old San Juan, Puerto Rico, make headlines in USA Today as best restaurant in the Caribbean with their chocolatey accent on our favorite Puerto Rican and Dominican comfort foods. They recently opened a second location in the South Bronx that is also serving up everything with a chocolate twist. Please welcome the new Bronx's Chocobar Cortés Caribbean Chocolate Everything Restaurant Executive Director, Carlos Cortés. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Rhina. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for making our life so much sweeter.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, bravo for opening up in the South Bronx. Okay, so let's start with why the South Bronx?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that question. And the reason is, you know, Chocobar Cortés is a 93-year-old now chocolate manufacturing company based in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. We're a heritage brand. If you're Puerto Rican and Dominican, most likely you grew up with our products. So for us, it was super important that when we came to New York with the restaurant, we went to where our community was, and we found the ideal place for that in the South Bronx, which, you know, the Bronx is one of the strongholds of the Puerto Rican and Dominican communities. And also it's just such a great neighborhood. We're so happy to be here. We love it here.
Well, we're happy you're here, and definitely a really nice area too, because it's up and coming. And there's a what are they considering that now? Sobro, right by the water.
Yeah, I don't know about Sobro. I think Mott Haven is the right term.
I get it. We're gonna be politically correct. And so, but let's talk everything chocolate, because I gotta tell you, once I started reviewing all of the actual menu and the drinks, I was like, oh my gosh, how were you able to come up with a way to insert chocolate into everything?
Well, that is kudos to our chef, Ricardo Valdia, our executive chef in Puerto Rico, who created most of the recipes in the menu. And then also our head chef here, Chef Maria Martinez. The thing that people think about chocolate, they just think like candy and sweet. But the reality is chocolate is an ingredient like everything else. And it's just a matter of, being creative and experimenting and being open-minded too about trying new flavor combinations.
Right, like chocolate butter. I don't think I've ever heard of chocolate butter, but I'm going to tell you this. I am so looking forward to trying out that grilled cheese that is coated with chocolate butter. Who would have thought of combining something like that?
Well, Puerto Ricans have known for generations that chocolate and cheese are a beautiful combination. We just happened to put it in a grilled cheese sandwich. But yeah, it's a tradition, drinking our hot chocolate with the cheese and the crackers. So the same ingredients, we just kind of incorporated it in a new way.
And so, and what about this chalupitas?
Chalupitas de mofongo, yes. Puerto Rican and Dominican food is amazing. It's delicious. I love my rice and beans. Like, it's my favorite thing to eat. But at the same time, we didn't want to just be another Puerto Rican or Dominican restaurant. We wanted to do something a little bit different, elevate some of the cuisine. And so instead of just having mofongo, which by the way, we do have, and it's delicious, we made a taco shell out of it. And it comes with our smoked pork and our chocolate hot sauce and our guac, which has shavings of chocolate in it. It's just about, creating an experience and having people leave the restaurant being like, wow, that was special.
And I know before we got on air, we were talking about the healthy dishes, right? Like eating a salad. However, the salad is drizzled with a chocolate dressing, you mentioned.
Yep, it's a chocolate vinaigrette and it's really good.
If you notice, I cannot take the smile off my face.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do round 2 at the restaurant.
Exactly. And then let's talk about the drinks, because you offer everything under the sun: chocolate martinis,
Yep.
Even regular chocolate drinks.
Right.
So it's not just for adults. They serve brunch, dinner, right?
That's correct. We have a full coffee shop and chocolate shop that's like in a separate part where you can just walk in, buy some chocolates, buy some coffee to go. And then we have a restaurant and bar, and it's for everyone. Chocolate Cortés historically has always been about sharing happy moments with your family through, sitting around the table with hot chocolate in the morning, at dinner, after dinner, during hurricanes, during funerals. It really is about sharing happy moments together. And that's what we're trying also to offer and to celebrate at the restaurant. We want people to sit around with their loved ones and just have a good time.
And so before we go, let's just share with everyone the initiative that you also have with the Cortés Foundation, because I know you also advocate arts, and let's just share everyone that whole process. 'Cause I know you did something with Ed Miranda, right?
Edgardo Miranda, yes.
Yeah.
He is the creator of La Borinqueña. She is an Afro female Puerto Rican superhero, the world's first. And she fights against social injustice, and she fights against environmental destruction. But she also is preserving our history and our culture through the medium of comics. And so when we collaborated with him, where we created 4 special edition chocolate bars that on the inside have a comic strip that each one kind of tells a little bit about the history of the company, it was just a beautiful, collaboration between 2 institutions that have the same values and interest in really celebrating our culture, promoting our values. And so Fundación Cortés our foundation, our mission is to educate and inspire with our passion for the arts of the Caribbean. And on top of the restaurant in Puerto Rico, we have the gallery space where the foundation lives. And mostly what we do is we use a curated Caribbean art collection as the educational tools in the classroom, mostly with kids, you know, exposing them to the arts and teaching them that art is a superpower.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that with our viewers. And before we go, let's just share with everyone what that's been like for you to end up in this position within your family business. Because I know this wasn't exactly a straight route for you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a roller coaster. I was going to be a doctor. I went to medical school, but then pivoted and was able to finish with a business degree as well. And this was all kind of happening during Hurricane Maria and during the financial crisis in Puerto Rico. So really my motivation, my passion was to be able to help Puerto Rico and to celebrate our culture somehow. And obviously I had the beautiful opportunity to be able to do that with my family company. So it's been amazing. You know, family businesses are tough, but they're also really beautiful. And I'm really happy. It's been challenging too because of the pandemic. Obviously, we had a whole 2-year hiatus, and that was a very kind of stressful and scary time for somebody in the restaurant industry.
Our business, yes. Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we move forward. We're a 92-year-old company that has gone through a lot of, you know, very scary times in our past, and we're still here. And that's the message that, you know, that's the message that I told myself, that why I needed to keep going. But that's also the message that we want to promote, because we as Puerto Ricans, we as Dominicans, we as the Latinx culture, we need to continue pushing forward and putting our best foot forward.
And preserving our traditions, because your chocolate actually reminds me of my grandmother, because that was my grandmother's thing. You know, my grandmother is from Puerto Rico. So while I wasn't, you know, here, now it's accessible. But when my grandmother was alive, Cortés chocolate was definitely in the household. So it's lovely that you're able to preserve it and move it into the next generation and revitalize it in another way, right? Because it's almost like, hey, it's a new generation.
Exactly. It's all about celebrating who you are and where you come from, but then also reevaluating and evolving those traditions so that they continue on to the future.
That's wonderful. And then, of course, I'm going to assume your place is going to be really busy for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we will be busy. We will be announcing on our social media how to make a reservation for actual Valentine's Day. But then, you know, during the weekend, right before, it's going to be busy anyways. So if you would like to come through, just make sure we're open at 11 to 7. Get there early.
You heard it from the executive director himself, Carlos Cortés, and we thank you for bringing it here to our viewers. And you guys, I can't stress it enough, if you're interested in a chocolatey dining experience, check out Chocobar, which is located at 141 Alexander Avenue in the South Bronx, in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx. And if you're interested in more information, you can visit chocobarcortés.com and check them out on Instagram at Chocobar Cortés BX. We do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear about the rise of Serbian women in the contemporary art scene. Don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Our next guest joined us to speak about Bronx River Arts Center new exhibition Among Women, contemporary art from Serbia, a collection of featured artworks by 11 female artists who are deeply connected to Belgrade, the capital of Serbia, and how their art is collectively sharing a perspective that hasn't been regularly seen in the contemporary art space. Here to share more is the executive director of Bronx River Arts Center, Gail Nathan, and independent curator, Rachel Kilpa. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
So, welcome and thank you for being with us, ladies, and congratulations to you, Gail, for just soaring through with the Bronx River Arts Center. And you know, we've been by your side throughout your expansion, your renovation, and then of course we hit the pandemic, and now you're exhibiting this international story. And so I'd like to open up with just I guess inquiring like how you choose your topics, and of course this is women, and I personally feel on a personal level that it's going to take women to actually heal the world and us coming together. So it's no surprise that, of course, this is a women-driven exhibition. So let's just share what you found in similarities in choosing these types of exhibitions.
Well, first of all, the way we operate our gallery for the last couple of years, we go in and out of it. Every once in a while, we get a gallery director and they choose the shows, and sometimes they choose shows from the people that the artists that they're following. And just like Rachel had put together her show by following certain artists that she knows or has come in contact with. But what we do when we don't have a gallery director is we put out an open call for exhibition proposals that people like Rachel, independent curators, pick up, see it online. We put it out all over on social media and to artist organization lists and things like that. And I don't even know how Rachel found it, because I didn't know Rachel before. I always get very intimate with the curators when they do a show, to the point where I think I've known them for 10 years after we get the show up. But so we put out a call and we get a whole lot of applications and we look them over. I usually bring in a team of people, sometimes some of the artists in the studio program, other artists that have shown with us, other curators that have curated for us. We usually put together about 4 or 5 people to go over the applicants and choose a set of shows for the year. We have to do the whole set because our funders, you have to put in your schedule. So this year we looked at all the proposals. We do keep an eye on making sure that we're representing a lot of the artists from the Bronx and New York City, curators from the Bronx. We had 2 this year, curators from the Bronx. And also balancing the subject matters and things like that, and being involved with contemporary issues, whether it be aesthetic issues or socio-political issues or environmental issues, which is, of course, our double mission is art and environmental concerns and justice. So that's how we do it.
And this leads us into Among Women, which is the topic at hand, which is contemporary art from Serbia, which is all women. It's women curated and it's women artists, right? And so, Rachel, I want to have a conversation with you about how you have chosen to, I guess, enlighten us about Serbia women, I guess the political undertones and how you all represent in being voices through this platform.
Well, I guess I can start by saying that I am Serbian American, and that my research as of late has been focusing on contemporary art from Serbia. And the concept for this show began back in 2017 when I was researching Serbia's first modern artist, Nadezhda Petrovic, who was very active at the beginning of the 20th century and a very radical woman, organizer, and painter. And from looking at her work, I just started to think about what are contemporary women artists doing in Belgrade, because obviously you can't ignore what's happening around you when you're there. And I just sort of started on this journey, asking a lot of cultural workers questions about what women are doing, meeting a lot of women artists. And there are a lot of opinions and perspectives. And I really wanted to give space to as many of those perspectives as I can. So some women in the show are specifically dealing with women's issues, the heteropatriarchy. Other ones are looking specifically at economics, globalization, and place. So you get a lot of different ideas about what the women are looking at and what they're thinking about.
Right. And so when a person is visiting this particular exhibit, which happens to be on display as we speak, right, because it opened on January 21st, what are you hoping, let's say someone who's unfamiliar with Belgrade, they walk away with learning?
Well, I was surprised, Rhina, when this show opened in Pittsburgh in September, and now that it's in the Bronx, a lot of people actually are much more familiar with Serbia and Belgrade than I had anticipated, which is refreshing and pleasantly surprising. And I think that people are finding a lot of connecting points, especially women. There was one artist at the Bronx River Arts Center that I met who said she feels the immediacy of the works, how direct and transparent they are, but how they allow the viewer to come in and experience them and think about the topics at hand. So I feel that viewers, in particular women, because women have been having a strong reaction to this show, they feel that they can approach the art, look at it, get into it. They don't feel intimidated by it. And I feel that has been a nice thing to learn as the exhibition moves, that people feel invited into the space.
And so the different styles of art that are being exhibited, you already referenced the different topics, but what about the styles?
Well, we have a lot of different styles. We have a painter, we have a collage artist, we have some photographs, we have sculpture, we also have some digital works. So there's really a mix of diversity in art practices.
And so, Gail, I see you're sitting in between some of the exhibition right now. And that looks like a life-size image behind you or to your right. Is that correct?
Yes, and there's actually 3 sides. It's hung with like a triangle. So there are 2 other versions of a figure standing that way. Rachel can talk about that.
Yeah, that's a work by artist Maja Simic, who is a printmaker. So those are digital prints on canvas, and it's an outline of her body. So the one image is her wrapped in dish towels. There's another one of her wrapped in plastic bags, and another one of her covered in beauty creams and tinfoil and wax on her legs, which references the duties and responsibilities of women, how sometimes women have all of these responsibilities, especially as a mother, daily tasks that make you feel almost immobile or overwhelmed. And she really gives you that feeling, especially since the face and 2 of them are wrapped and covered, and it almost makes you feel like you're suffocating, at least for me when I look at them.
Bonded.
And so you identify as Serbian American, right?
Yes.
And so having visited, these artists are actually from Belgrade and from Serbia.
Yes.
And so coming from here and experiencing their artwork as a woman, right? How is it universal storytelling? Like where is that similarity that you find in being connected?
Me personally, or?
Yeah, I mean, I used you as an example because you identified as Serbian American, which means, your culture is here, right? But that's part of your ancestry and it's definitely part of your upbringing. So I just wondered how you connected to it as a woman.
Well, women are fierce in Balkan culture overall. And I really feel with some of these works, and I'll use Maja as an example because we're talking about her, the duties I've seen my mother perform, my grandmother, how hospitable they have been to people, how much work that they have done in the name of the family, and how sometimes that's not recognized as much as it should be. So with some of these works, I do feel that. in terms of Maya's work, since that's the one that we're talking about, that's what immediately comes to mind.
And before we go, Gail, do you have any last words on how you identify with the exhibition as a woman?
Well, yes, to come and see the struggles that are expressed here. What Rachel described about that piece with the print with the woman bound by dishcloths, it's so clearly expressed, creatively expressed. And I mean, I know those dishcloths, you know, and it's such a beautiful piece. And again, like I said earlier, that the aesthetics of this show, that the quality of the work is so high that it's engaging. It's doing, the art is doing what it's supposed to do. It's engaging you first because it's so dynamic and beautiful on a aesthetic level, or tough on an aesthetic level. And then once you're in it, all this stuff keeps coming out of it. And right now that stuff is very critical in America. So that's the sort of thing that interests us when we see a proposal from somebody and we go, oh, that's a good one. Let's do that.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you, ladies. And I thank you for bringing it here to our viewers, independent curator Rachel Kilpa, and of course, executive director of the Bronx River Arts Center, Gail Nathan. And we are talking about Among Women, contemporary art from Serbia that is currently on view until February 26th, once again at the Bronx River Arts Center, which is located at 1087 East Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. And if you are interested in more information, you can visit bronxriverart.org, and on IG, you can visit them at Bronx River Arts Center. And of course, you can also visit amongwomenserbia.org. We are empowering women internationally, together, unified through art. All right, you guys stay tuned. Bobby C's Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
We begin this 5-on-5 with a changing of the guard for the New York Football Giants. Last week, a new GM. This week, a new head coach. And he comes to us by way of Buffalo. Here's more with the New York Football Giants.
You know, I've been around the block. I've experienced a lot of different things. I've witnessed, you know, different head coaches and how they do things. To sit up here and say that, you know, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. Like, look, all I know how to do is work with people, try to build a culture, unite a building, inspire players, coaches, support staff, listen, learn, and then ultimately develop the people in our building. And that's not just the players, that's the, you know, QCs, that's the people underneath the head trainer. Like that's what we're going to try to do. Do I feel prepared? Yes. Do I know there'll be some obstacles and challenges? Of course. That's this league. You know, you got to be resilient in this league. Certainly here you got to be resilient, right?
And at 4, a celebration for arguably the greatest goalie in New York Rangers history. Now, when you go to Madison Square Garden, you can look up into the rafters of the world's most famous arena and remember Hank for a lifetime. We go back inside the locker room for more.
I just wanted to play hockey. I just want to live my dream. And thinking back now, I don't know how many times I had to pinch myself and it's like, I'm really living my dream here. To come to a place where people care so much, where they treat you so well, to play in Madison Square Garden, to live in New York City. I mean, the list is so long why my journey here has been so special to me and my family. This past 15 years have been the best 15 years of my life, being part of this organization. So this means everything to me and my family. Thank you so much.
Only downside to his retirement ceremony was the Rangers being edged in the game that followed. Nonetheless, the Broadway Blue Shirts have been among the best of the best in the NHL this season. It could be their first Stanley Cup Finals appearance since Hank was between the pipes. In the 3 spot, cheers to Iona College men's basketball head coach, New York native, and Hoops Hall of Famer Rick Pitino. He notched win number 800 on Sunday in a hard-fought final against St. Peter's in a game announced by yours truly. Here's Coach after the milestone.
I'm glad that I got 800 here. I said, but I want to get another 200 here. I said, God willing, I don't roll a 7 anytime soon. Maybe it'll happen, but I'm real pleased coaching these guys that I could get 800 here. Great place. I'm really happy. I hope I can get 1,000 here. God willing, I hope I can live long enough to see that. And it's a special moment today. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I'm at Iona, and we had to fight like hell to beat St. Peter's.
From the high school hardwood, St. Raymond turned in another goodie last Friday night against the Gales of Iona Prep, edging them 62-60 behind it. Sharp shooting from 3. The Ravens led at half, fell behind in the third quarter, and rallied in the fourth for the come-from-behind win. Another game I had the honor of calling. And in at number 1, some love for women's basketball in this sports roundup. The Bronx Athlete of the Week goes to Monroe College's Olivia Medford. The Mustangs standout bounced back from an okay performance when she scored 5 points in the first game of the week to notch 16 points and 12 rebounds and a double-double against the Monroe Express to close the week out. She made the final shot of the half to give Monroe a 34-14 lead at the break and completed her double-double in the second half, adding 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block to her all-around effort. Medford and the Mustangs return to action tomorrow against another Bronx program, Hostos Community College. Tip is set for 1 p.m. Folks, nominate your Bronx Players of the Week by hitting me up on Twitter at @TheVoiceBobbyC. To the back end of 5 on 5 we go for a look ahead. Coming in at number 1, we have our Super Bowl matchup. The Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow edge mighty KC and Pat Mahomes to advance to the Sunday, February 13th game in Los Angeles, while the LA Rams hold off the San Francisco 49ers to host the Super Bowl. The Rams, named after the Bronx's own Fordham Rams, are the first team in history to host the conference championship game and the Super Bowl in the same season. The winner of that game will also walk away with the Lombardi Trophy, of course. That award is named after the late, great Vince Lombardi, who started as a player in the Bronx at Fordham and then went on to coach the New York Football Giants, but of course became arguably the greatest head coach in NFL history with the Green Bay Packers. Lombardi led the Pack to wins in Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II. Nice history for the Rams, but I'm rooting for Joe Burrow, who we had the chance to cover when he won the Heisman right here in New York City before leading LSU to a national championship. Some quarterback, some interesting matchup in the Super Bowl II. Giants fans will get a chance to see OBJ on the biggest stage. At 2, 9 New York athletes have been announced as part of the U.S. Olympic team. The athletes will be competing in figure skating, bobsledding, luge, hockey, and skiing at this year's Winter Games. The Olympics opening ceremony takes place today, and the Games continue through Sunday, February 20th. At 3, since we are looking ahead and we are less than a month away from the opening of the IndyCar Series in racing, the first race of the 2022 season goes down in St. Pete in Florida on February 27th. We caught up with last year's champion and a preview of what to expect in 2022. Take a look.
I think we always have pressure in all kind of sports, but especially motorsport, where you need to show your potential in order to get a new contract, right? So we always have pressure, but I don't think I have added pressure from last year. I would say I even have less, but I don't think that's a good or a bad thing. It's just that we already showed that we're capable of winning a championship, winning races, and being up there, and we just need to do it again.
Cannot wait for IndyCar to be back. Shout out to Elio Castro Neves, too, who was part of the winning 24 Hours of Daytona team this past weekend in Florida. Elio won last year, repeats this year, and will have a shot to do the same in the Indianapolis 500 come May. Not bad for a 46-year-old race car driver. In the 2 spots, since we have a sore spot for old guys here on the show, how about 44-year-old Tom Brady seemingly retiring and unretiring in the same day? The star Tampa Bay QB fell short of a Super Bowl repeat, but had some season this year in year 2 for the Bucs. And at 1 on this day in Bronx sports history, legendary Bronx filmmaker George A. Romero, the godfather of the dead, not only made classic zombie films during the Pittsburgh Steelers' 1970s era, but also did 4 films on the great football team in Pittsburgh. Franco Harris, Good Luck on Sunday, The Steel Curtain, Terry Bradshaw, Thank God I'm a Country Boy, and I'm Back, the Rocky Bleiler story. Romero will be remembered most for The Night of the Living Dead and essentially creating zombies in modern culture, but his love of sports, especially football, provides an interesting twist to an illustrious career. The great filmmaker who passed away in July of 2017 was born on this day in the Bronx in 1940. To the C-list for a can't-miss announcement from Hoops in the Sun. This C-list could have easily been spent debating the Baseball Hall of Fame and its decision to pass on Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens for enshrinement, and instead only vote in Boston great David Ortiz, another alleged steroid cheat. But you've heard my 2 cents on the steroid debate before, so we shift our focus to another summertime tradition, like Cooperstown for hoop heads here in the Bronx. The Hoops in the Sun Roundball Classic won't be returning to Orchard Beach until June, but for the first time ever, the league is doing a winter league. They'll also continue their highly popular training sessions for kids here in the BX on February 12th. The league and the sessions are on the horizon. Check out Hoops in the Sun on socials for more information. Congrats to Hits on expansion. That's your look at sports. I'm Bobby C.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. Our last guests are here to share the richness of being wordsmiths, representing an organization that elevates youth voices as leaders at the intersection of the literary arts and civic engagement. Here to share more, please welcome to the show Urban Word New York City Executive Director Shanelle Gabriel and 2022 New York City Youth Poet Laureate Elizabeth Shvarts. Hello and welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here with us. And let's start by congratulating Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, we wanted to bring you in to the floor right away. I know you're going to be performing for us later, but Shanelle, let's talk a little bit about what that means to our next generation, right? And also, give us a little background on Urban Word.
I'm so happy to. So Urban Word NYC has been around since 1999, and we are the premier youth poetry organization believing poetry, hip hop, the arts leads to social justice, civic engagement, youth development, and we believe that it also leads as a path to literacy. So a lot of the work we do is offer workshops, free workshops for young people across the city. Now that some of our programming is virtual, we have young people from all over the world joining in with each other, learning more about the arts. And we're also the founder of the National Youth Poet Laureate Program, which has other sites. New York City is ours. It started here about 10 years ago. And we our first National Youth Poet Laureate was actually the Amanda Gorman. So
the Amanda Gorman.
You're big when you have a article in front of your name. So but that was in 2017. And since then, we've named 5 other National Youth Poet Laureates since her. And yeah, that's really Urban Word's goal, to uplift and give young people platforms for their voice. They deserve it. They're amazing. And
so, I know, and I can see it in the enthusiasm that in which you're relaying all of this. And before we speak to Elizabeth, I just want you to share what kind of transformation you've witnessed serving as the executive director.
Definitely. So a lot of the young people that come to our programming, especially because our main programming, we're headquartered in New York, so we serve the New York area. We're in schools, Title I schools all over the city, as well as young people that are in charter and private schools. And we see that young people develop a love of learning by realizing and seeing their own voices and narratives be uplifted in the poetry that we share, that we allow them to share and create. And in showing that, a lot of young people come out and say, hey, I want to write more, I want to read more, I want to learn more, maybe I'll go and continue in higher education. So there's so many ways that we've seen young people come very shy, or they're shy at school, but not shy with us, and just trying to find more ways to let young people know that their voices matter.
Right. Regardless of what their background is, right? Because New York is so diverse, and it's lovely that you can all come together and kind of find that similarities within the differences. And so, Elizabeth, congratulations once again on becoming the 2022 NYC Youth Poet Laureate. And please do share, what kind of responsibilities does that entail?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rhina. When I got Youth Poet Laureate, I was honestly floored with gratitude and also excited. New York City Youth Poet Laureate is interesting because it's the intersection of arts and advocacy. And I get to work with New York City Votes to increase civic engagement among youth, to show them that you can be active in the voting process and also not have to vote. You can make your voice heard through mobilizing community protests. And I think that's like one of the most important things we learned like during YPL, was that you don't have to be 30 and have a job and all these other qualifications to make a difference. And also highlighting different issues that are important to me and important to the New York City community. For example, menstrual equity and the climate crisis, and queer joy. And those are all issues that are important to me, and being able to highlight that through art, especially spoken word, which I think is like the most accessible form of writing and of art. It's just amazing, and it brings people together and it inspires them to do more research about these issues and see how it affects them in their own lives, and take charge in their own way.
Oh my gosh, how old are you again?
I'm 17.
Unbelievable. You are so impressive, and we don't have very much time, but I would be remiss if we didn't mention that you're also the co-founder and co-director of Bridge to Literacy. I mean, at 17.
Yeah, it's another literary nonprofit similar to Urban Word, except we focus more on literacy lessons through one-on-one mentorship, and we connect over 150 volunteers and students to each other across 6 continents and 20 countries. And we foster a love of language through literacy and hands-on lessons and culturally centered lessons, something that's not really found a lot in the American education system, and also just in general around the world. As someone who grew up with a love for reading and also a former spelling bee nerd, I'm still kind of a nerd, but now like I can't spell when I text. But yeah, it was, I started with my friend, and I've been doing it for about 2.5 years. And it's honestly amazing to be able to spark so much joy and empower people through literacy in different ways, like as Youth Poet Laureate and also as working for Bridge to Literacy.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. It's so fulfilling. And she, I'm just like, I feel so hopeful just listening to her. I can imagine how you feel every day working with these individuals.
Oh no, I love the work that I get to do. I love the work that I get to see our young people doing. And all I want to do is give platforms, like any opportunity I can. And thank you so much for giving Elizabeth and Urban Word and Bridge for Literacy a platform as well. I just want to highlight all of the things so that when they do our programs for ages 13 through 19, so when young people do age out, they feel at least they're better prepared or more prepared, or have other things under their belt that they can take with them in whatever they do.
And so before we go, if someone were interested in programming, is there a process, a registration process? Is there a time period in which they can join with Urban Word NYC?
Well, we have workshops and events, programs that happen throughout the year, from our Black Girl Magic Ball, which happens in March, to we're going to be announcing the next National Youth Poet Laureate in May. And even the process of the New York City Youth Poet Laureate program happens in the fall, and our Summer Institute. So it's all year round. If they just go to urbanword.org, they will know whatever is going on. Please sign up for our mailing list and you'll get a nice email knowing all of the cool things we do, as well as our partner organizations that we work with.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shanelle. So before we go, Elizabeth, I know you're going to be performing for us. What exactly are you going to be presenting for our viewers today?
So even though this program is called Bronx Nyc, I'm reading a poem about Staten Island, and it's called "When You Tell Me Staten Island Should Have Seceded a Long Time Ago."
It's all good. You know, we're borough friendly. Okay. At the end of the day, we're all New York. Thanks for being with us. 2022 NYC Youth Poet Laureate Elizabeth Shvarts is going to be presenting when we return, so don't go anywhere. Once again, Shanelle Gabriel, Executive Director at Urban Word NYC. Thank you for being with us. And like I said, Elizabeth's going to perform when we return, so don't go anywhere. Hey everyone, welcome back. Here now to perform When You Tell Me Staten Island Should Have Seceded a Long Time Ago is Urban Word 2022 NYC Youth Poet Laureate Elizabeth Shvarts.
There are sunrises here, the type you climb skyscrapers for, the type you amble an American Eagle imprint bone towards, and no, we don't all get our vitamin D from tanning beds, and no, we don't squeeze our sunbeams dry while poor substitute for chalkboards. We get our education from doctor's office, satellite streaming. Salvation is the soundtrack of 3 p.m. traffic on Father Capodanno. Fashion stands as foreign, and by foreign, I mean anti-vax parades don't ingest well, meaning this is a first come, first serve, meaning the bodies have nowhere to go, meaning spineless, I need something to chew on. Something to roll a blunt, something to wrap a bacon, egg, and cheese, something to strike a match, something to dim a street lamp, something to scratch the winning lotto, something, won't you give a damn when de Blasio shows up to your doorstep with a filthy-lipped smile and a 99-cent scented soap as a housewarming gift? And that's not even the top of the BS this island has had to deal with. My island is a paradox. My island is not to be pitied. My island is highest median income, homogenous, heroin, and homegrown crabgrass. Here, the boys rinse out their vape pens with holy water, washed up in sewage, and funyun wrappers line the beach. On good days, we starve for the type of kindling that makes us think we can strike miracles. And when you tell me Staten Island should have seceded a long time ago, you're probably thinking of the pulpits preaching picket fence scripture, the Bible thump, belt bottom, pump the brakes to get to the other side of heaven, only in our minds, and half the time it's easier to bury our tongues before the corpses. Do you know what it means to come from a city built to fall? When you tell me Staten Island should have seceded a long time ago, I want to tell you that for every good fellas fall on their sword to defend bad apples, blinded by the blue light, bludgeon, blonde highlights, bloated skylines, lush green forests, and golf fields built by hands that never drove past Todd Hill is 5 minutes away from mom and pop shop. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap dreamers. Puff a cherry vape. Slotted spoon was left in Soho, so they came here. Can't afford rent in the big city, but if their gamble can't swallow the apple, why? Then no one can. Sri Lankan to Sicilian to Soviet Russian, sandwiched the caught between street-like fixture vessel for 600,000 tastes. When you tell me Staten Island should have seceded a long time ago, I want to laugh and tell you destination can be docking port. You don't move to Staten Island so much as you wash up. This shoreline won't swallow us whole.
That was Urban Word NYC Poet Laureate Elizabeth Shvarts. And for more, you can visit urbanword.org, and you can also visit bridgetoliteracy.com. All right, that is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through, and to you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out the recablecast tonight and 24 hours a day at bronxnet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe provide paz, prosperity, y amor. Happy Black History Month, y'all.